God, you made our big blue sky. You made the oceans deep and wide.
Hi guys, this is the We Connect for the second week of December, December 13th and 14th. We are in the middle of the Nativity story. So you last week taught on the message that Angel Gabriel gave to Mary, the message that she was to carry God's son, Jesus. This week we're going to be talking about how how God's son Jesus was born. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to have blocks and animals in your classroom like you always do, and you're just going to encourage the kids to build a stable, to just, help them build barns, help them build a stable, put their animals in there, just kind of get them sort of understanding the idea of what a stable is. And at the end of the activity, you can say something to the effect of, now all of our animals have a place to stay. Our Bible story today is about two people who didn't have a place to stay, and their names were Mary and Joseph. So each week, of course, you remember you have your poster board. Last week you had Angel, Gabriel, and Mary. This week you're going to have, I really cannot figure out this. There we go. Wow, sorry guys. You're going to have a manger. And then you will also have several characters to put in your manger. A donkey, a cow, a sheep. And then, of course, we have Mary, Joseph, and Mary, and, of course, baby Jesus. So as you're telling the story, you can just start adding these characters in. And maybe you don't add them all. Maybe you just do Mary, Joseph, and the baby, whatever you feel is best for your class. But you have all these characters to add to your week 2 panel. So you will be telling this story today from Luke about Jesus being born. And so it's Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 7. So again, just read through that before you teach, and just, pray that God's wisdom just is imparted upon you so that you can share this story by His will, to these kids this week. So you will be focusing on the birth of Jesus. So you'll talk a little bit about how Mary and Joseph had to travel a long way, and they were very tired, and it was a long, long trip, and they needed to find someplace safe to sleep at night, and they couldn't find anybody, and they knocked, and nobody would answer, and finally they found a place to stay in the stable, and explain what the stable is, and how it wasn't like a room, it wasn't a hospital or anything like that, and that's where baby Jesus was born. That's where Mary had baby Jesus. And you can say, something to the effect of, on that very, very special night in that stable, baby Jesus was born. Baby Jesus is God's son. He is so, so special. And on that amazing, joyous day, Jesus was born. And that's why we celebrate Christmas, right? That was Christmas Day, the day Jesus was born. So that's the little chunk of story you're going to be telling. You'll want to first, before you go into Mary and Joseph, you'll want to just remind them of what you learned last week, and you can use your storyboard. Remind them that Angel Gabriel came and gave the message to Mary, and then you can go into the part where, Mary is pregnant, and then now she's going to have her baby. So we will be making baby Jesus ornaments this week. You have a star that has our verse on it, for God so loved the world, and then they can make their ornaments. So you're going to have a star, you're going to have a baby Jesus character, you're going to have some hay, some straw, and then you're going to have these, gold, whatever these things are, pipe cleaners, and then everybody will have a bunch of different glitter glue. So this is something done by my daughter. She did a rainbow over baby Jesus because it reminds her of the promise that God made to Noah and the promise that God made to the Israelites. So you don't have to do that, but that's what she did. So anyways, again, just with these ornaments, this one should be pretty easy this week, but I would start with the star, and then I would go with the hay, and then I would go with Jesus, and then I would go with the glitter glue. Now for the little guys, the glitter glue takes a little while, so you're going to have a place to lay these out to dry. But for the little guys, I might just give them crayons instead, because the glitter glue, while it's kind of in a fine tip, may create more of a mess than you're wanting. But your classrooms will have the glue in case you want it. And then you'll once it's kind of like semi-dry, or actually probably before you put the glitter glue on, have the kids put their gold what is this thing called? Pipe cleaner. And then there's their baby Jesus ornament. So your stars are actually yellow. Mine I ran out of yellow, so I'm doing my samples in white, but you have yellow stars. Okay, so you'll want to talk about, while you're doing your craft, it's a really great time to bring up our verse, because that verse really, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he sent his only son, that he gave his only son. I mean, that's that day of Christmas, the day of Jesus' birth, was the day that verse came true, that God gave us Jesus, and Jesus came to this world as a baby into a stable, and that Jesus is God's son, and Jesus is so special. I mean, just kind of keep reiterating those concepts from the lesson, but also from your memory verse. So when you're done with your ornament this week, we have a game called Who Am I? And you're going to have a bunch of different cards: sheep, a lion, different animals, a frog. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have the kids sit around in a circle, and you'll choose one child to get in the middle. And the child in the middle puts the card on his forehead. And he looks all around, the kids all around him, and the kids around him have to give him clues about what he is. So in this case, the kids would say, I swim in the water, I eat bugs, whatever they want to. You can catch me by using a fishing pole or something to that effect. And then the child that has the card up has to guess what he is. I'm a fish, he says. And then the next person's turn comes, and there's enough cards for everybody to have a turn, and you can do that as long as you want to. Let's see. They're all animals. So we're just kind of, the theme is really just, for these little guys that, Jesus was born in a stable, and stables were where animals lived. And so it's just another way of reiterating, where Jesus was born. And then you want to talk to him about, maybe you can link this somehow by saying, we've just had a really fun game with lots of animals. Do you remember all the animals that were in the manger, that were in that stable? Do you think that they minded having Jesus being born? I bet they didn't, because Jesus is so special. Jesus is God's son. I bet they were happy that he was there, something like that. So, and then you, of course, have your memory verse, which is the same, John 3:16. So it's John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. John 3:16. So just, focus on that verse a little bit with the motions. The kids, like I said, should really know. Most of the kids should probably know this one, so this should be just a fun time for them to use the motions and engage. And that's about it for this week. So this week's sermon series is really focused on baby dedications and family dedications, children dedications, basically dedicating your family's life to Christ and what that looks like. So this parent take home is going to have a little blurb about why we do children dedications and baby dedications. But then at the bottom, there's a ton of resources, different websites, different texts that we use in children's to help build curriculum, to help counsel children, to help counsel parents, and then we use them in our own home as well. So there's some really great resources that most of them, actually all of them that we've chosen, are free. But also one of the resources that we have on there, just to point out briefly, is a link to our YouTube We Discover Learn to Sing. I know a lot of parents have asked about how to do the motions because their kids love the song so much, and so that link is to our entire sort of database of the songs that we have put to video on how to sing them and how to use the motions. So that might just be a really fun way for parents to engage with their preschoolers. So anyways, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. I believe that oh, nope, that's right. We have one more week before Christmas happens. So I hope this week has brought you great joy. I hope that the children, I just pray that the children are hearing these words and are realizing just how very special God's love for us is, and just how very special Jesus is. So with that, I will leave you. If you have any questions, ask your campus director, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.